hunting has a purpose in my life, and that purpose is greater than what it once was. As a young man, it was all about the pursuit of that animal or that bird. And so I still struggle with it being that sometimes. I still have those selfish tendencies where I get locked in on a particular pursuit, whether it's an elk hunt in the fall or a whitetail in the rut or a turkey gobbling in the spring. But the greater meaning to me now are those days afield spent with my boys, spent with my brother, my dad, spent with loved ones, spent with strangers, spent with new friends, old friends. And just exposing those who may not even have an opportunity, they don't have another way to be exposed to God's wonderful creation. And in exposing them to that creation, I can introduce them to the Creator. That's what has value to me. That's where this journey that started when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, that's where it's led me to this point now. Is to be able to share these things that I love and this place that I love with those that the Lord sees fit to bring into my path.
I come from a history of hunting, an experience denied to me growing up. A letter written to me as a boy is allowing me to discover what hunting meant to my family. The message was simple: it's in my blood. A message that I now get to share with my sons and others. Everyone has their own story. This is one of them. Certain things in life are meant to be. Two individuals, two lives, threaded together, connected. Often these relationships are either father and son, or friends that have connected on that level that they would only understand. But just sometimes, this connectedness comes through a mentor relationship. When they met, it was a young boy desperate to go turkey hunting. An adult eager to provide that opportunity to that boy. An opportunity that could have easily slipped by. Instead, that man grabbed the opportunity by the collar, invested in him, inspired him, and set that young man on a path that only the Creator could have dreamed up. Today, both are men, both still very much connected and still very much involved in hunting. The man continues to lead young men to experiencing the outdoors through an organization called Fathers in the Field, of which the message is simple: faith, fatherhood, forgiveness, with the goal to rekindle and establish the spirit of boys, and to do it in such a way that the outdoors gets threaded into their spirits. The one mentored is now embedded at the highest level of the outdoor industry. Through the media of television and social media, he has now turned the tables, engaging young kids at public events, and he himself inspiring the next generation to follow in his footsteps.
I could tell you right where I was standing the first time I heard a turkey gobble. I don't mean like I could tell you the farm I was on or the field I was in. I mean, like, I could show you where my right and left foot were planted when I heard it. You know, growing up in central Mississippi, you're exposed to the hunting culture early. But to me, just when I fully dove into the hunting lifestyle, it all started with turkey hunting. I was young. I was 11 years old. And even at that young of an age, I can remember through that instance and through just that first day chasing turkeys, there was no second guessing it. I knew I was sold, and I have been ever since. I was fortunate and blessed enough, you know, because my dad started me deer hunting when I was younger, but when it came to turkey hunting, neither of us, me or him, Dad had never turkey hunted. I was like 11. I didn't know what to do, but I met a man named Keith Polk through the church I went to. Keith got me my first turkey. It was the next spring. I was 12 years old, and that's just one of those days I'll never forget. Keith and me have been extremely close ever since. He is just an incredible impact on my life and influence on who I am now as a man, as a person, through the career I've taken. For someone that, you know, like to take an 11-year-old kid that's an aspiring hunter and someone like Keith, who was and is a very knowledgeable and successful hunter, and luckily someone who's very kind and generous and has a heart like he has, to pass on something like he did to me, it sticks with you. So the hunting thing, you know, it started and it all just kind of evolved from there. I started falling in love with it more and more, and then started doing it more and more. And it sounds kind of funny maybe, but the relationship with hunting is kind of like, it's almost like a relationship with a person, like a friendship with a person. You know, like you start out when you're a kid, you're just excited to be out there, and then you get to the point where you know, you're out there, but you want to kill something, but then you start to grow such a respect for it, and such a respect for the game that you're pursuing, and just the whole concept of it. And it's so special. I can't emphasize, it's hard to put words on how special it is. And you know, I never knew, no one could have known when I was that young where all this was going to lead. You know, I just thought I just wanted to go turkey hunting. That's all I knew. I thought the hunting thing sounded fun, and I just knew I wanted to try it. But I never would have guessed what all it spiraled into. I mean, it's affected my relationships, it's affected my friendships, it's affected my career path. There's just so much about my life that I can attribute to hunting and what it's done for me. And through what I do now with Primos, I get people just out to ask a lot, you know, what's the coolest thing you've ever done, or what's your favorite hunting moment? And they just automatically assume I'm gonna say something like elk hunting in Colorado, which, I mean, and that's fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's fun, but to this day, without any hesitation, if you were to ask me my absolute favorite moments spent in the woods, spent hunting, there were two separate days. One in the spring of 2016 and one in the spring of 2017, when I got to be a part of Keith's two oldest sons killing their first turkeys. And I can remember that day being able to identify so much when they shot those turkeys, because I remember what Keith did for me, passing it on to me. And I could look at Caleb and at Colin And I could identify so easy with those emotions that they were feeling, just the sight of it, the smell of it, the sound of it, the whole feel of it. And it was just so innocent and so pure, and just everything that hunting is meant to be was right there. And I felt like I had done, to a small degree, what Keith had done for me when I was younger, and that's passing that on to somebody else. Something that you love that much, something that's that special to you. That's what hunting is to me. My name is Lake Pickle.
My name is Keith Polk, father of 3, husband of 1, child of God, and a thankful Mississippian.
Everyone has their own story.
This is mine. It's in the blood.